All right, I just want to demo this app that I built. It's maybe of interest to some of you, maybe not. I don't really care. It's more for me. I am open to receiving feedback though, and I am enjoying playing EverQuest Legends. And as long as I do want to keep playing it, I'm going to keep supporting it. It's released under a license that says as long as you're not developing a competing product or a competing service, I'm not monetizing this. I'm not interested in monetizing it, but or if you just talk to me, if you want to use the source, I'm happy to have you do that. But the idea here is we have an overlay. That's the most basic feature. It's got a heal for the current fight, the DPS breakdown for the current fight, including charm pets and summon pets, procs, spells, melee, AAs. So far, everything that I can find. It's fairly accurate from what I can tell. And I'd say it's probably the most accurate that I've seen. There's a few other log parsers that are doing something and they have a really hard time with charm pets and things like this. So this is one aspect of it. So just I'll show this live. Let me grab a mob somewhere. And then we'll show off the other features of the app, which are also somewhat substantial that can help with things. So starting fighting this, I have this Sage piece here. Smiting Strike went off right at the beginning. I got a kick and a melee. This is a Paladin Rogue Berserker. So Backstab and Frenzy and Poisons are all showing up there. I got Clumsiness to land and Slow. So let me show you the next thing, which is there's a little companion desktop app. On this like combat breakdown, it will show you when slow landed and kind of give you a live view of this. If you have a full group, it will also show a set of people in your group, including a pet, if you want to do that. Let me spam heal myself a little bit because this is a high level mob and I'm only 47. Oh, wow. Would I crit heal or something? So, but this breakdown is the most interesting. There's also sort of a, grats to me, ding. There's also sort of a breakdown here that is like if you're zoomed out, you can always see you're drilled down to your combat to see what it looks like. So, for instance, Blood Draw Strike is a proc here. It tracks the procs per minute within the fight, and it sort of infers if it's a proc spell by it not having like a cast associated with it. So, for instance, Earthquake or different things that could be a casted spell. It tries to guess. It does a reasonable job at that. And there's a proc breakdown for this fight. So Clumsiness procced 4.9 procs per minute, and there were 6 strikes of Paralytic Poison within this fight. If you go to overall, it will show more information. So I just logged in, but it parses the historical as well, and this is the overall for my Plane of Hate segments. So it has some like higher level procs per minute stats, which is kind of interesting. You can see different items, AAs, and things. One thing that is very surprising to me and kind of gets me with this is that what's it called, the Paladin undead proc, whatever it's called, Slay Undead is very strong. I'm finding compared to like normal things, it's proccing much more often. So very interested to see that. It has a healing breakdown, for instance, here, including absorbs like the Berserker absorb. So that's the combat portion. Still pushing on this. I'd say we're not parsing everything, but a lot, and it knows about your stance changes over time as well. So if you're fighting and you swap stances, it will put one of these little lines on the scrolling combat graph here. It has a history, so like a full history here. You can search this, and like this goes all the way back. So I could say, like for instance, when did I fight like the Eye of Yishan, right? So all the way back, and this would have been on my enchanter. So Zat, which I had charmed, is like most of my damage. Hilariously, this is annoying. Like we should get rid of this in the current meta, but that's okay. This is the B ad, so it does like a tremendous amount of damage. And yeah, like it just has this kind of full idea of a searchable combat history going back for all time. So I like that. I think it's useful. Overview has some interesting information in it. So if I target something like this guy, it will show that I have targeted this person. Well, actually, I have to hit him because it doesn't show up in the logs. I will hit him to show this. So my current target will show up. It will look up what this person drops based on the wiki, and it will let you see this stuff. Additionally, if you consider somebody, it will also put into the special event log, it will put a reference to that mob, so you can look up what that mob drops Oh, I have 2 mobs on me. Is this guy slowed? Yes, he is. I will swap to slow this guy as well. And then swap back. In the meantime, so it infers my class loadout from the abilities I'm using. Unfortunately, there's no messages in the log when you switch loadouts, so it's a little bit difficult. It would be nice if they put something in the log to help with analysis and things like that. With that information, by the way, we analyze leveling. So, for instance, this is my first trio. You can see the zones I'm in, the rate at which I gained XP, what my AIAs were at different time. I was playing pretty hard the first week. And then my second trio, which is this PAL Rogue Berserker with no... Did I slow this guy? Yeah, he's almost dead anyway. So we'll finish that guy off. And then my second trio. So this is kind of interesting. And then the history of my AAs purchased over time. So there's this leveling aspect, which flows into this analysis that says how fast you're leveling in the current zone and what's going on and things like that, comparing it to paces from your previous levels. So fairly interesting information. And then your recent drops, which this is not super great yet. I want this to be more integrated and to allow you to quickly look up, what things can be used for from a quest perspective, which I do have to a certain extent, but not completely worked out. That's one feature. Another thing, and I'll skip to some bits, is it tracks your raid progress here, which is kind of nice. So like D4, all these like kind of open worldish bosses, I loosely open world, but that's okay. D2 and Fear for me, I just haven't spent a bunch of time there. D4 and Hate mostly, though the minis spawn randomly in Hate in the instance. D1 and Sky, and this tracks this automatically without having you having to touch it, which is kind of nice. Here's another interesting feature. It knows everything that's dropped since time immemorial because it's in your log, so you can see which sky quests you're able to turn in, and we can actually see the rewards without having to go back and forth, and it just knows what's able to be turned in. You can favorite certain things and then kind of just look at favorites, right? Favorites only, and it will just show you that stuff. You can hide stuff sort of permanently, and then it will go into this ignored list, and you can unignore something later. So if you don't care about the Beast Lord drops, just get rid of them, that sort of thing. When you turn something in, so like for instance, I've got this Aldrin's Blade of the Ocean, and I have the Thelvorn Blade of Light, right? Mine is tier 7. It knows that, and you can filter out the stuff you've turned in. It will also subtract that stuff from your inventory. So if you have overlapping turn-ins, it knows like, oh, the person no longer has this rune or whatever, and so it will know that you need to acquire a new one. This little link says, oh, actually, these items, at least some of them, are shared with 3 other quest items. Like, what are they? And we can actually look. It's shared with the Test of Love for a Paladin. I want to make sure I don't die here. Test of Love for a Paladin, Cleric Test of the Week. I actually will definitely make this mouse overable so you can see the actual rewards, so you know what the turn-ins competing with. But this has been fairly just interesting and useful for me myself, because like you just get Sky quest drop after quest drop, and it's so annoying to go back and forth to the wiki, and we can use the logs to make that happening. All right, next feature is alerts, and this is something that is fairly interesting. If you're familiar with Gina, which is like an old program, I don't know if it still works. It might still be around, but I always found it really hard to work with and use. No shade against the developer of such a program. I think it's amazing that it existed in the first place. But this is fairly useful. The idea is you can do audio alerts, like, for instance, if Charm breaks, this is what plays for me.
I find myself requiring your attention.
And this is just like a silly voice pack that's like an Alan Rickman thing that has a bunch of quotes from him. There are sound packs. I've integrated with the sound pack registry for another application altogether, but it has interesting stuff like video game noises and things like that. Overwatch characters, which is just kind of funny. So like an example here is, let's open these sounds.
Ready.
You can make like Anna from Overwatch your voice pack. And then you can also do spoken voice stuff. So here's another thing here. So voice, it's spoken. I actually think I need to install the voice pack to make this interesting. Have I already done this? No voices available. Natural voice download natural voice. I kind of want to make just do this, but it's 115 megs, and I'm cognizant of the fact that people don't have great internet, but it's interesting. So you can do like a good one is like sky maybe. Takes
Charm
a
break.
takes a second, but like basically it will speak. And what you can do is you can say, well, don't speak a custom word and just say daring, right? And we can
There
play
is
this.
something I must ask. Indulge me.
Oh, that's a bug actually. Let me see.
There is something I must ask. Indulge me.
Let me edit this and then hit play.
Daring.
So there you go. I have to fix this bug. Apologies. Live demo. What can you do? This is one aspect of it. So you can do a spoken voice. I'm preferring this like Alan Rickman voice back because I think it's funny when Swift Life the Wind wears
A
off and it
moment of your
says,
time, if
a
you
moment
please.
of your time, if you please. The next big feature here, which I think is very useful, well, you can export, by the way. So you copy all these out and someone can import a string, or you can export an individual buff and send it to somebody. It's kind of nice. You can add from suggestions. So this is very interesting. Um, when it lands on target rogue slow, you just click on this and it puts it into your list. And then you can go back out here and say, oh, well, I want, this to be like this, like it is done.
It is done.
So like let me try to land a rogue slow and see if I can get it to trigger quickly. This guy's 55, so I might resist. So that's a bit obnoxious. But while this is going, I'm gonna assume you think it's gonna happen, and we'll go back here and take a look here. So it has this nice add from suggestion, and it pulls stuff from your logs. And what it does is it tells you what level of spell it is.
It
What?
is done.
Okay, so now we have slow on the mob, right? So that gives you a sense for kind of what kind of audio alerts you can build, which is pretty cool. Um, this is just like a fun thing for me, like to be able to keep my buffs up. Obviously, this game you don't need to min max it so hard, but in general, I love the idea of playing like a little more optimally and figuring out how things work. So that's pretty fun. This has from your fights, ready-made sets, so like out of range, resist, charm break, mez, root broke, invisibility dropping, cast failed, out of mana, you died, which I think is funny. You can just like play a sound when you die. Different buffs, debuffs, your illusions failing, poisons. There's some built-ins basically, and then a nice search. So if I go daring, I can find daring, right? And it's like hyper fast because it's all local. Technology, by the way, is Electron. Electron with Node. It's a TypeScript application. It's like web based, but it's local to your machine. There is no backend. The only backend we do have is this little send feedback function. So you can ask for a feature request. It goes direct. Please don't abuse this. I have the ability to turn it off on a per machine basis or deny this altogether. And then a bug report. And the idea with the bug report is you can optionally attach an EverQuest log that will get redacted, and you can scope it to 15, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, or just disable it altogether. Completely opt in. Not interested in your data, not interested in that. When you first log in, there will be an opt out for basic analytics, and I'll show you the dashboard at some point. But the idea is that I just want to know how many people have installed it, how many people have enabled the overlays, which are here, how many people have gone away from the overview, and what kind of daily active users I have. No information about your character, nothing sent on at all, and you can actually physically see what's outgoing with the analytics. So if you want, you can take a look at this and see exactly what's waiting to be sent. This is an anonymous ID that gets generated when you use the product. You can reset it yourself, and you can literally take it out. So it's completely up to you, and it will pop up at the very bottom to ask you if you're interested in this. Little leveling analysis, little loot analysis, so maybe some notable drops. We can actually see, if you look up like Lockjaw. Well, let's actually find mobs. Mobs is a better one for this. Lockjaw. So if I look up Lockjaw, I can see he drops like no meat. No meat's used for gnome kebabs, baking level 56. It has your kill history for the mob, kind of cool, and then any kind of quests that name it. And anything that is interesting will show up in terms of like the related quests, which I really like the idea of it. And very similarly, kind of loot. I have like an in development buff tracking thing that is not super great yet because when you log in, and you have permanent buffs and quick buffs and weird stuff, but it is trying to learn the duration of buffs based on some statistical analysis of your logs and then guess about it. I don't know how useful this is, so I'm just keeping it in dev. We may just take it away eventually because it's not that interesting or useful. Maps, this is just either directly from your in-game map file or Brewall. If you have it installed, you can search the labels. I intend to integrate the lock system, like your XY location, from the wiki, so that you can optionally show like wiki positions on here, and that might be useful. It's zoomable, it's pannable, not super useful because there's this map here that's basically the same thing, but I always find like searching this map to be very obnoxious, so I'd like to make it just like a slightly better experience if we can help it. Anyway, preferences. So it automatically discovers where your EverQuest install folder is. You can also obviously also just choose it, and it will get your characters, and when you first log in, it will just pick the most recent character. You can switch characters from here. Okay, very simple. Combat, show your pets damage inside yours. It's the only option. Overlays, just some issues. So like if you want to hide this when EverQuest isn't running, or hide it when you're alt tabbed or whatnot, you can. This is an interesting feature. I will turn this on for a second to show you what it looks like. People familiar with some of the weak auras in WoW will know this. So if you're just like spamming, superior and just like there's shit all over your screen, it's very easy to lose your mouse cursor. This makes it a little bit less easy to lose your mouse cursor. Completely optional, starts off, we can turn that off. Voice is the voice pack. This natural voice, this is super cool to have. It's just a Hugging Face text to speech voice model that gets downloaded. You can change the speed so it's faster,
Charm break.
even faster,
Charm break.
louder, quieter, all that kind of stuff. Let me set it back here. Profiles, this is very interesting because it has the inferred history of the classes. That's small observability thing for us to be able to know if it's working well. And by us, I mean me, because I'm the only developer. And then you can export the settings through this share screen, and you can save your profile to a file. So just a small thing. You can import it from other people. Updates, there's an automatic updater. So this is version 0.3.1. I just released this. It automatically will update it. If you click here, well, first of all, it has a cadence on which it updates. If you click here, it will check for an update and automatically download it. And then it will just say restart to use the latest version. Usage analytics, performance, so CPU and memory in the title bar if you want. So it uses a lot of memory because in my particular case, it's a 65 megabyte log file that I've had since beta. So, and I'm not getting rid of it. I want to keep it. And then it says how fast startup is in different areas. I'm trying to make it like not screw with your machine, right? And then feedback. You can request a feature, report a problem directly from here. And that's it. That's all I want to show you. I'm not committing to keeping this up all the time. The license is such that it can expire, and within 2 years you can use it. The source is available, so if you're curious if it's good or not, you can go look at it. 100% AI assisted. If you don't like that, that's okay. Just don't use it. I am a developer with 25 years of experience. I can write this by hand. It's just way faster for me to lay the architecture out, the technologies I want, the API surface areas, the UI, look and feel, and then use agents to help me develop it. I'm using Anthropic, not OpenAI. If you're familiar with such things, I'm using the Fable model for planning and design, and Opus for execution. So any questions, feel free to ask. That's all I got. Happy grinding, y'all. Bye-bye.